carrying on reviewing History of Nostalgia, a Dangerous Emotion book. So as I was saying, in the 20th century, millions of people were forced to leave their homes, creating the concept of a refugee. Now they might yearn for homes left behind, but those homes are gone. They longed for somewhere, but that somewhere was a place preserved in a particular moment in history. They were homesick for places to which they could never fully return. And obviously the fact that they cannot go home increases their stress. Rather than always just sending them back, homesickness among migrants can also propel them forward, however. It can also be a creative force. A renewable source of desire, memory, myth, search and discovery, and this can prompt them to fashion a new home. They might find things they associate with a romantic image of home to populate their new lives. And of course, for American soldiers fighting in the Second World War, that happened to be Coca-Cola, which is very much a visual reminder of home for them. Now, a psychologist in 1898 called Linus Ward Klein thought nostalgia was a reaction to a loss of the familiar and the presence of a new or a strange, or a response to a significant lifestyle change. And he likened it to seasickness, with the nostalgic having lost his psychical orientation, much the same as someone suffering from seasickness loses their sense of balance they have on land. And also in the 19th century, a philosopher called Paul Carus described the blurred boundary between healthy and unhealthy feelings, between interest and obsession. And a disorder was caused by undue prominence of one emotion, which thus dominates the whole economy of a man's psychic life. And then the book goes on to talk about the First World War and this destabilised the 19th century optimism. It upended the assumptions about inevitability or progress. And then some found shelter in fairy stories and folk tales of youth. And this was dismissed as foolish by psychoanalysts. Nostalgia was seen as a response to abrupt changes, a mental disturbance, but too much nostalgia could develop into a monomaniacal, compulsive mental state. I'm just going to turn this off for a minute, hang on. Sorry, just turn something off. And one particular psychoanalyst of the name Nandor Fodor wrote a book in 1949 called The Search for the Beloved, and he was a Jewish emigre, a bit like Freud in that sense, and he reflected on the failed utopias of the recent past, and then he accused the proponents of he accused nostalgics of wishing in a fictitious fairyland, one where all strife ceases. So he very much accused utopians and nostalgics, I should say. He mistrusted any attempts to escape reality, because the genocides of the war had rendered those efforts foolish, he said. He saw utopianism and nostalgia as 2 points on the same spectrum, and he compared collective nostalgia to the literary utopias, for example, the whole idea of Shangri-La as well. But while utopias are trying to build something ideal for the future, nostalgics are attempting to return to something that already existed. And Fodor thought the feeling was a manifestation of a latent desire to return to the womb. Some very strange ideas coming out of psychoanalysts. The mother, he thought, could impart physical and... Sorry, I can't read my handwriting, it's awful. The mother, he thought, could impact physical and psychological development of a fetus, depending on her state of mind. Anyone's emotional well-being was influenced by uterine experience. Nostalgia was seen as a negative consequence of life in the womb. For example, those who curled up in bed and slept with arms folded across their chests were unconsciously mimicking the position of a fetus within a womb. And so yes, there's a great deal of prenatal psychology going on. So, for example, if you spend too much time in a bath, you are apparently dreaming of a life before birth. It's hilarious. And also if you like Tarzan novels as well. Or if you like the jungle, for example. Because Tarzan, being set in the jungle. A place of darkness and mystery like the womb. Nostalgia was seen as a regression, a desire to return to a person's place of origin, the womb being seen as the original home. He had little patience for immature nostalgics, thinking them self-centred. He accused them of being neurotic people, who retreated to bed at any sign of stress or conflict. It was thought that a home was a medium of escape for those unable to face reality. They closet themselves in their home and deny admittance to others. A bit like that of a fetus, happiness depended on complete isolation. That's so funny. The Irish analyst Alexander R. Martin thought nostalgia was an instinct humans have in common with homing pigeons. A biological tendency to return to childhood, to sleep, and the unconscious. One case of Martin's was a 1950 woman in her early 40s. She said, "I can't part with those dresses. They have a nostalgic feeling." She had never effectively broken away from her mother, he argued, yet she was still a little girl. Progressive was unable to grow up and face the world. So there was a subconscious obsession with the mother and an idolised vision of their childhood. And another psychoanalyst, Dominique, I can't read my handwriting, it's annoying, called Dominique something or other, and I can't read my handwriting, claimed that nostalgics were obsessed with their own gestation and growth, so by extension they were obsessed with themselves. Now the psychoanalyst Fodor, was concerned the emotion could infect entire countries, and that if it spread through nations, then the womb and a home might be replaced by the mother country, and political nostalgics would fight to keep away from the Western world, politically and culturally insulated. Now Fodor had left Hungary in his early 20s, and he had little desire to return. Why does an old country become a fairyland to victims of nostalgia, for example Hungary? Fodor was not inclined to look fondly on excessive patriotism or political isolationism, because he had witnessed the consequences of an overly myopic nationalism in the Second World War, a sentiment he partially blamed a sentiment he partially blamed on nostalgic tendencies among people who had never quite managed to wrest themselves from the fantasies of youth and family. And he saw fascism as the unintended consequence of societies that were resistant to change. Such societies are more preoccupied with the supposed sanctity of domestic dwelling, and the allure of an unchanging homeland, and the damaging effects of modern life, whereas Fodor celebrated places and people that were excited about the possibilities of a future and international cooperation. He was progress-focused, urban dwelling, mistrustful of individual and national isolationism. And there's also this rather classist idea as well, that the middle classes' education emphasised the importance of technology and progress, and that they were less likely than the lower classes to be tradition-bound people or become nostalgic. So then the book goes up to the 70s and 80s. So I'm going to stop now. Let me know any comments. I thought the bit on psychoanalysis was really interesting and it made me laugh quite a lot. Just because some of the interpretations of psychoanalysts are just so maverick and so crazy and funny. So yeah, let me know what you think about that, and I'll carry on with reviewing this book soon. So thank you for watching.